Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Reefa, and in today's video I want to touch upon housing. I know it's not really a nice topic to talk about, but let's get into the tea. So for the last 2 years I have been renting. I moved out of my family home and I was like, I'm an adult now, I'm gonna move houses. If you have seen any of my vlogs, you would know that I have moved houses quite a few times. Ha ha ha. Well, do I got stories for you? I'm not gonna get into the tea and be exposing people, but I'm just gonna talk about what I've experienced in house shares. And let me tell you this today, God please, I do not want to do a house share anymore. I know that some people, they first get that experience going to university and, you know, student accommodation, then they move out. I didn't have a student accommodation. I was living at home and I'll drive to campus and I'll drive back home, and I knew that I'm not paying extortionate amount of price that people were paying living in student accommodation in London. I was not that bad life, absolutely not. I had a car, make a choice. I picked the car because I had a home and bedroom. It was perfectly fine. But then now at 26, I was like, you know what, I'm outgrown my family home. I want my own space. I want to learn how to be independent. Go into my first house share, all girls. Now, I thought women will be clean. Guess not, because some people will surprise you. And then I moved to my second home and I just learned that, yeah, cleanliness has no gender. Men, female, whatever you choose to go by, because I also came across pronouns and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not used to this. But for me, house shares, for me, one of the biggest reasons of me leaving is cleanliness. I don't like sharing to begin with. Like, I'm okay, we all have our own rooms, but it's the shared facilities, i.e. the kitchen. I wouldn't say I have OCD, but I like low-key have OCD. I like things to be clean. I'm sorry, I was raised in an African household. I don't know if it's been installed Sharifa, girl, installed within me that you have to clean up after yourself. I generally don't understand how it's so hard for some people to literally just, like, you know, they will leave their dishes there for days. They will be piling up. Who are you waiting for? Who are you waiting for? The cleaner? I generally understand that. In the first house, we didn't have a cleaner, so it was down to like us women, and we have a rota. Now some people will follow the rota and other people like putting it off, and those who like putting it off tend to be the ones that were the most not cleanliness people. In the second home, we did have a cleaner because it was a bigger house, as in there was more occupants. Like the first house, there was 4 of us. The second house, we were like 7. But in the second house, where it's a HMO, where it was a lot bigger, the turnover. So living there for a year, and I maybe saw like 7. Keep in mind it's a 7-bedroom, but I saw like 7 new other tenants moving in. Like, people don't last long. People are in and out, and that's okay. But it's adjusting to different quirks. That was the problem. And different tastes of music. Everyone likes to live in their own way. That is fine. But when you are living in a shared, like, accommodation, why are you not considerate the fact that you're not living by yourself? Like, you're generally living with like other people. Like, noise, they'll be blasting their music at ungodly hours, like 2 a.m, 3 a.m. I had a housemate where they will be cooking food at 3 a.m, setting off the fire alarms, and I was so annoyed. And they lived above me and I would hear everything. And then also, like, no shade, no judgment to, you know, shared accommodations, but to me, if you're in a house shared accommodation with people predominantly in their 20s, like we're not yet on 30s, but you have children, you're a grown person like in your 40s with kids, it was just, and they're grown kids, I'm not talking about babies, but grown like teenagehood kids. And the fact that, you know, they're stomping around, misbehaved children running around causing havoc, and you're not disciplining them, that was a headache. But then I also lived with other people where I just don't understand, like, tell me if I'm the one in the wrong. Like, is it normal in a shared accommodation where people just like to leave their underwears out in the living room to dry for everyone in the house to see, when there's a tumble dryer, there is a garden and your room and a drying rack, but specifically you loved putting your underwears out for the whole world to see, and you leave it there for a good 2 weeks for the whole world to see? To me, that didn't make no sense. It was so uncomfortable. Another thing that I hated with house shares was, like, people don't like to take the bins out. Who are you waiting for? That's the thing I don't understand. Who are you waiting for? It reached a point where I got fed up of taking the bins out that I, like, will slowly stop. The bin will pile up, bro. It will pile up. It reached a point where there was only dedicated certain people that would take the bins out, and others would just, what I noticed is that people, they will have rubbish in their room and they'll take it outside, but then they'll also go in the kitchen and top up. So you took your own rubbish to the outside bin, and then you've topped up in the kitchen bin. The kitchen bin is now overflowing, but you don't want to take the whole bin out. It made no sense to me. The sink, if there is a bin and the sink is there and it's right next to each other, why is the sink full of food? Who are you trying to feed in the sink? That was annoying, especially when people don't clean up after themselves. They don't keep after themselves. They leave expired food in the fridge. And then with house shares, with different people's cleanliness level, you get pests continuously. I hated that. That was so uncomfortable. I don't live in that property anymore, but oh god, it was so uncomfortable. Agencies, they don't like to do anything. I don't know if this is just a universal thing, but I just had two worst experiences with agency, but the last one was like the worst. You have leaks, you have sewage coming out of your showers. You had so many issues, so many problems, countless problems, and they don't like to get things resolved. Funny. I just see it as, like, house shares, to some people it's great. To me, one thing I feel like it's just not for me is I'm an introvert and I'm pretty much a homebody. Like, I work from home, I like being home, I don't like being outside. Outside equals spending money. Outside means socializing, and I just like to be at home. Like, I'm comfortable chilling at home. Like, so for me, home is a sacred place, and, like, to me, house shares, it doesn't feel like it's a house, it just feels like prison. And that's literally how I described it. It feels like prison because you're literally cooped up in one room. That's it. Like, these four walls is all I got. Like, but having literally the cost in London to rent, to get your own place, is literally extortionate. Like, I generally don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I temporarily have moved back home so I can save more money and house hunt for a 1-bed apartment. But oh my goodness, like, I know people be like, try looking outside of London, but we are literally in the middle of a recession. We're in cost of living. Wages are not increasing. wages are actually decreasing. Because when you look at the job market, why do you guys promote one wage or, you know, whatever, and in the interview you want to decrease it? Like, make it make sense. Like, to me, it's literally like, living in London is just so expensive. Maybe when I reach my 30s, I might move out of London, I don't know. But house shares are scary. They are scary. They are not for the weak. And I learned a lot about myself. I learned what I like and what I don't like, what I can tolerate, what I can't tolerate. I just didn't like the fact that I became like the nagging mom in the house, like telling people to clean up after themselves, or be the one who understands like the house, like this is where the boiler is, this is what this. And I'm like, this is not my house to be this concerned. Or I'll be the one emailing agency, the fence is down, or this needs repaired. It came to the point where I was the go-to to tell me what the problems were. So I emailed the agency. Like, you can email the agency. You've lived in the house longer than I have. I left the property before it even reached a year. I gave the keys back and I was like, yeah, me out. New year, new me. I do feel like every year I am literally moving houses, because I am. But I wouldn't say I'm picky. I just like to make sure I live somewhere which is keeps my sanity and not have constant arguments. So for me, I've just learned I would rather live by myself. Like, there is no shame to go back home for temporary things. Like, if you put all your stuff in storage and you go back to your parents' place, if that is an option and available to you, please do. You will save so much more money, because the cost of rent for the poor conditions that you live in, when I calculated it, I spent over 10 grand in 1 year in that place, and I was like, nothing got resolved. It was pure headache. Like, we literally even had a fire alarm that kept going on for like more than 6 months, even though you kept fighting for it. Like, brother, the batteries need to be changed, this, and the ceilings were so high, windows didn't open, heating that didn't work, times would have no hot water. It was, goodness, it was a lot. It was the things that people live behind closed doors. But yeah, house share, no. Would I live with friends? No. I feel like I'm at this stage in my life where I'm like, you have your house, me, I have mine, and we visit, and then you go back to your place and me, I go back to mine. Because even coming over to my place, I don't like, even though that there's not much like seating and stuff, I just know when I have my own place, bedroom will be off limits, because that's your privacy, that's your room. When you live in a house here, that's like all you have. So, you know, what else can you really do where you can be private? But I know when I have my own apartment, no one's allowed in my bedroom. Living room ting, and that is literally it. But let's see how it goes, because a part of me like cried when I moved, because I was like, oh, I feel like I failed. I thought I was so grown. I just don't want to do the same mistake to find a place. It looks good. It's honestly the people that make the place, because some people are just unbearable to live with. And granted, now majority of everyone has moved out of that house as well. It was just, I just now need to focus on stacking up my money and finding a good deal that may or may not be a little bit further out in London, because London is so expensive. You're looking at a minimum 1.5, maybe 1.7 for like a 1 bed. It depends, and if it's like a new build, I don't know. Even some of these non-new builds, they're just expensive. Just know, like, from 1.2, 1,200 up, you'll be looking we'll see. And that's not bills. But then what scares me is the council tax, water, gas, electric, Jesus Christ. But yeah, I don't know how some of you people do it. Some of you must got money, I'm telling you. Because why is, like, literally, like, on average, someone's salary is probably like 2,400 maybe, something like that. And then if your rent is like 1.5, then factoring bills, you're probably like maybe 1.8. You're telling me you're almost on 2 grand just to live in a house by yourself? So where's your food? Where's your transport? Where's your emergency funds? Don't get me started on trying to save for a mortgage. Savings in this day and age is so hard, but I do make a cautious decision to always put money in savings. Like when I get paid, I put money in savings. But honestly, the prices of mortgages, that's a whole nother conversation, bruh. Like, take me back to when I was a child, when things were easier. Because why is it so expensive? Why is life so expensive? Oh. But listen, I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna try to explore the UK and see which areas I like, do a little weekend getaways and see where can I see myself. Because I just know that I do see myself moving out of London one day, potentially abroad. Where, I don't know. I'm not at that stage of life yet, but I know I'm not gonna live in London for my whole life, God willing. I don't want that. But yeah, for now, back home. I don't want to move again until I know it's my own place. Stack up that money, because I do not want to, the fact that, yeah, probably in the 2 years I've paid out like 20k for renting. Can you imagine? For suffering. And that could have gone towards savings. But living at home also, you're paying in your mental health, but you know, that's a whole different situation. But then I'm just like, yeah, there's no way I'm wasting another 10k to stay at another place for a year, because my stuff are tired of being in boxes. The IKEA boxes, they're getting tired, they're getting worn out, you know, they are getting worn out. So for now, my advice is, if you can stay at home for a little bit longer, just do it. Stay and save your money, because I'm telling you, this agency renting life, yeah, if you get a good agency or good landlords, that's great. I don't know if it's rare, but that would be great. But obviously the goal is obviously to be like, you know, a mortgage owner one day in this economy. Lol, you never know. But until then, at least when you're like renting, it gives that flexibility to go to different areas and see if you like it. And so far, yeah, I've not liked the 2 areas that I've lived in, so there's still a lot to discover. But yeah, house shares, I'm done with it. Moral of the story, you know when they say neighbors from hell, you have housemates from hell. But not everyone was that, because I've also lived with some really nice housemates. But it's usually in that household, it's 50-50. Someone good and someone annoying as hell. And the annoying as hell really take over when the good ones leave before you, and you're just there like, damn it! Yeah, them ones. But yeah, let me know your house share situation or anything like that. I would love to know the funny stories. And don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.